In this video, we are going to be looking at comments. In JavaScript, comments are used to add explanatory text to your code that is ignored by the interpreter. So when you're writing a program, there are points where you want to explain what you want to do in a particular section of your program. So you want to keep a note so that anyone that is using your code, you may be working in a team and you may have someone to go through your code, to review your code, or to maybe add some features. So you want to write comments to help the person, your team members, understand what you're trying to do, or even to help yourself understand what you were trying to do, maybe when you take your code some years after some time, right? So after writing your code, you came back to your code and you want to understand what you were doing, what you were trying to do at a particular point. Comments help you to understand that. So comments are very important, even though they are ignored by the interpreter. So in JavaScript, we have interpreter. In other programming languages, we have compiler. So comments are not translated into machine language, so they are ignored by the interpreter. So we have two types of comments. We have the single line comment and we have the multi-line comment. So let's look at how we can create comments. So we have this program from the previous video about variables. So we were able to create two variables here. We were able to create a constant and we were able to create a variable name. So we want to comment each action we are doing here. So we are performing three actions here. The first action is we are creating a constant variable. In the second action, we are creating a normal variable and we are assigning it a value. In the third action, we are assigning a value of Mike to this variable. So let's write comment to these actions, or let's add comments to each of these actions. So the first action we have, and we said that we have two types of comment. So we are going to be looking at the two. First, we look at the single line comment. So to add a single line comment, we do this. So let's say this is a constant, right? So this is a constant and we are declaring and initializing a variable. So here we are declaring and initializing a variable. So when you say let name, that's declaration, and when you assign it a value, when you say equal to John, then that's initialization. Or we are assigning assigning a value to let's say name. Okay, so you can see we have added comments to each of these actions. So even a newbie will take our code and understand what is happening. So in writing your program, you don't in your program, you're not going to be writing comments on each line. Yeah, that's not what you want to do. But there are some important sections or segments of your code that you want to write some comments to enable you to understand what you are trying to do, or to enable a team member understand what you're trying to do at that section. So comments come handy in those scenarios. So this is how you write a single line comment. So next we are going to look at multi-line comment. So to write a multi-line comment, you will do a slash, a forward slash, and asterisk. So when you do this, you can see that all the lines have been commented out. So this is the opening comment, and we need a closing comment. So the closing comment comes where you want your comment to end. So if I want my comments to end here, then this is how you close it. So this is the opening comment line, and this is the closing comment line. So anything I write in between this, in between the opening and the closing comment lines, is going to be commented. So if I say this is a constant, and I can still say the constant is not going to change, and I can still say please don't try to change the constant, like this. So you can see that we have multiple lines here. We have 3 lines of comments here. If I try to add a comment here, you can see that this is not a comment, and if I run this program, it's going to throw an error because the system doesn't understand this. So this will not throw an error because the system ignores this. So like we said here, okay, so we said they are ignored by interpreter, right? So in executing this code, the interpreter is going to ignore this section. So the interpreter, once it meets this, is going to ignore all of this. Is not going to translate it into machine code, so we're not going to have errors here. But in this case, we are going to have errors because this is not a comment and the system doesn't understand what this is. So this is not a JavaScript syntax, and is going to throw an error. So if we want to write this as a comment, then we have to do this. So on your VS Code, there's a shortcut in writing your comment. So if you have something like this already and you want to comment it out, then you have to go to the line. You can go to anywhere, it can be at the beginning, can be at the middle or the end of the line, and then you have to, for those using Mac, you do command and then the forward slash or backslash key on your keyboard. For those using Windows, you have to do Control and then the backslash on your keyboard. Okay, so that is how you create a single line comment. And another thing I want to say is there are times you want to comment your code as well. So if I don't want to reassign a value to this, and as well I don't want to delete this line of code, maybe subsequently I will still need this line, then I can just comment it out. So in executing my program, the interpreter is going to ignore this. So that means the value of name will always be John. It's not going to be reassigned to Mike in my program anymore because this line of code is going to be ignored. It's not going to be executed. Okay, so there are times you want to comment your code. Maybe you are debugging, you are trying to find an error or something, so you just comment a particular line of code or some lines of code to enable you to test some sections of your code. So this is a use case as well. Okay, so still on this multiple line or multi-line, we have something called comment block. So there are points where you want to add a comment block to your code. So comment block comes like this. So first you have this backslash, and then you add 2 asterisks. So in VS Code, once you do this, you can see our IntelliSense window is suggesting this. I can go ahead and hit enter, and then you have this. So the difference between this and the previous one is on each line you have this asterisk. So this is a comment block, and is used with most times with to define things like variables, functions, and so on. So if I'm declaring a variable here, I can add a comment block. If I'm defining a function, later we're going to treat function, and then we can add comment blocks to functions as well. So I can do something like this at var. So this signifies variable, and then I can say this is a number. So whoever is reading our code, we know that this variable here is a number, right? So this is a comment block, and I can add more lines as well, and you can see that on each line we have this asterisk. Unlike the other one, we didn't have this asterisk on each line, so we just had it at the beginning and then the end. So that's the difference. So in this case, this is called a comment block. Okay, thank you, and hope you are enjoying my content. Please like and subscribe. See you in the next video.